What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Common Sense Living, the show where we discuss financial and economic trends, business topics, gold and silver, and much, much more. So, today I want to talk about copper, and more specifically, is now the time to stack it? So, copper doesn't get the same attention that silver and gold do, but really should be getting more attention. So I'm bullish on copper for really three reasons. The first is emerging markets. So emerging markets are countries that have same characteristics of developed nations, but not everything. So think Brazil, Mexico, India. Now, when you think about it, we're going to see more and more emerging markets and countries just below becoming emerging markets, needing better infrastructure and then copper for that infrastructure. Also, more and more people are going to need things like, or start wanting things like smartphones, TVs, appliances, all these items go into copper. China as well, that's just reopened or just been reopening. That's going to help drive the demand really here in the short run too. Now, second reason is just the current supply and demand situation. And on the first reason with the emerging markets, I kind of mentioned the demand side. Um, and right now it looks like there's about 22 million ounces being supplied every year. It was 22 million in 2022. It steadily increases, and it's been that way for really the last decade. Now, in terms of what's happening with the supply, there's nothing alarming happening, but there is a little bit, there are some issues happening right now in South America. So, Peru, they account for about 10% of the world's copper supply, and they've been hurt by political turmoil. It's hurting the industry, their ability to supply. Also in South America, Chile, they're another big producer. They're seeing some disruptions too. Now, moving on to a reason that's been talked about a lot with silver, I want to talk about the electrification push. So, not just with silver, but with copper, this should push demand higher. Now, we already know that in the auto industry, a lot more companies are starting to put out electric cars. This is going to drive demand for copper, but also we're seeing things like solar panels, more electric mowers, those use copper. And one thing I want to point out is that copper, it's used heavily in auto electric car charging stations, and these need to be built ASAP for what's happening with this push. Now, also, pretty much anything electric, like computers, phones, robots, those all use copper. And really, the world is heading more towards automation, replacing manual work when it can. And so, this is going to have more companies looking to implement artificial intelligence, and we can expect copper to go into some of those machines being built. Now, another reason that copper is very attractive is it's cheap. When you think about it, you can get a 100-ounce bar right now for around $300. So copper is about $4 a pound. And to me, it really comes down to return on investments. So, of course, it's not guaranteed to go up. No investment's guaranteed to go up. But it seems like to me, the supply and demand kind of dictates where the price should be able to go the next few years. Now, there are some disadvantages with copper. So, for example, storage is an issue. It's heavy, and it can be a lot to store. If you've got, say you collect 20 or 30 pounds of copper and you put it in a box, it's going to be something that's not easy to move around your house and not easy to store. You may just not have the room for it. It's also, in my opinion, it's less liquid than gold and silver, so it's less desirable. Fewer stackers, they stack copper. Dealers, they're not as attracted to buying it. If you were to go and sell it to one of the big bullion banks, they may buy it. I've never actually tried to sell copper to them, but they're probably more. They probably want more gold and silver than copper. And then also, as mentioned, as I just mentioned, just moving it around and just If you were to physically move from one house to another, you're going to have all this copper. It's going to be this big, huge box. Do you want that in a storage unit? Or where can you really put that? You can't move it to a safe deposit box or something like that. But let me know your thoughts on copper. Are you stacking it? Is it something you're interested in getting down the road, or is it just you're going to focus on gold and silver like most people do? I appreciate the time. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Thanks a lot.